Hello, Max and Rhea back with a new friend, Brandon from Film Archaeology.
Woo!
What's
It's
up?
Brandon. Yes,
Here.
clap it up.
So this is probably the hardest interview you're ever going to. No, it's going to be the easiest interview. We're just going to talk about you, your history, what got you into your love of retro, how you were as a kid, what you wanted to be when you grew up. What happened first, the love of tapes or the love of horror first? Because a lot of tape heads, horror is where you go. So that's the first question. What came first, VHS love or horror?
Oh, awesome. We're jumping right in. I love it.
Yeah. What got you first?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. Like, this is really cool to get the opportunity to do this and just chat with you guys. Like, we get to talk movies on a Saturday. What could be better?
Yeah.
So horror and tapes, man, that goes hand in hand. So I think that story probably starts probably VHS comes first because of like the childhood nostalgia of it. Like where it all started is like my family had like a modest like VHS cabinet and collection, but my grandma had like the biggest VHS wall I had ever seen as a kid.
Okay.
So we'd go over to her house, and my grandma was awesome. Like, she loved horror. I say was because she passed away shortly after her 90th birthday a couple years ago. But
sorry
like
for your loss.
No, thanks. We'd go over to her house, and like I would borrow like her VHS tapes. Like, it was almost like my little family rental store. So the tape that I would borrow like over and over again, I've actually got it right here. I've got.
Oh, you have the actual tape from your grandma.
This is literally my grandma's tape of Terminator 2. That is
that's nice.
Definitely one of my favorite movies of all time, hands down. And like I would borrow this all the time. Like, this was like my little rental from her that I got to keep, and like it's really a cherished tape in my.
You just explained physical media and like to the people that don't understand it. You, besides just the movie, you can get attached to a movie digitally in the theater too. You could get those memories, but when you get something like that, you have the actual tape that you borrowed from your grandmother and you watched together. That makes it much more impact on you. Like me and Rhea, we were talking bands and stuff. I know you like music too.
Oh yeah. She
turned me on this more indie music that now that we got together, and I like it more because I got it with my friend Rhea.
Exactly.
So that just explains it. But a grandma that's into horror and VHS, wow, you were lucky, man.
Dude, it was cool. Like, yeah, like she had so much, and like just I borrow Terminator 2, I borrow Raiders of the Lost Ark all the time. Like, those were two of my favorite movies as a kid. And I think that just planted the seed. Like, I got away from VHS like as a teenager and like in my, in my 20s, but like I got back into it probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was instantly like that nostalgia of like borrowing these, popping them in as a kid. I mean, the spines get me, like the art that they have on the spines just draws you in.
I prefer a VHS box to Blu-ray or 4K. It's big, it's bold. You can see it on the shelf a lot better.
That little extra real estate makes all the difference.
Yeah. And actually the thing that got me back, I got like 3 years ago, I was at a store selling some books that we had, half price books, and it was a Star Wars trilogy again. So the first VHS set I bought as a kid myself and pre-ordered was Star Wars, and then Star Wars got me back, and I was like, nah. And then definitely VHS came before horror for me. I've actually, I get easily scared.
Okay.
I was not in the horror, and then friends like Rhea, my friend Bruce, Perp, other people I collaborate with on YouTube, they won't stop talking about horror. And then I'm like, since I love VHS so much, I would pass up horror, and I'm like, what am I doing? That's like, you can't even do this. So the love of VHS got me into horror, and Friends got me into horror. So
it's one of those genres like for me, and why I love horror so much is it just takes you out of reality so much. Like even if you watch enough horror movies, like not enough will shock you, but you're seeing stuff that just you would never imagine seeing in real life. And the artistry of the makeup and like soundtracks get me like crazy. Like, all of that stuff is amazing. So yeah, horror is like, it's a deep rabbit hole, man, if you just started going down it recently.
For sure. So were your parents cool too? Your grandma sounds really cool, but were your parents in the horror and tapes too? You visit, How did that work?
My grandma was definitely the big horror like person in the family, but absolutely like my parents had like we started with like a modest VHS collection. We had one of those like wood like pull open drawer cabinets, and I could just remember being like a 10-year-old, like you open it up and there's just like these things you can grab, and I'd stick my hand in the sleeve, which you shouldn't do, right? You'll break the box. And yeah, like we had a modest tape collection, but honestly, like I've got nostalgia for the DVD era too, because like that's where I really think of like my growing up, and like my dad became really big into like our surround sound, like
Oh yes.
theater. Like we had the huge block TV that probably weighed like 500 pounds that you needed like 3 people to wheel into your house. We had that, and then my dad set up like the THX receiver surround system like right as the DVD era kicked off. So like we eventually kind of grew into having like a huge DVD collection as a kid in my house, which was just like such a good gateway to so many movies. Like there's certain movies that I just associate with DVDs. I don't know if you guys have that, or even with VHS.
Oh yeah, there's some tapes that I like prefer. That's my like RoboCop.
Yeah,
RoboCop. I want to watch on VHS more than anything else, especially since I was very sheltered. With my parents were very strict. They didn't let me watch horror and radar movies much. So I actually had my dad. We were also very poor, so my dad would just tape stuff off cable, and it was always the edited version. Recently I got I just never. RoboCop's always one I appreciated, but I never bought on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K. And I've seen that a bunch of times as a kid. So I finally found it on VHS, and then I watched it. I'm like, wow, this is so much better without the edits and stuff. So now I can't. That's my go-to way to watch RoboCop. I found Reality Bites the other day, which I've been looking for. It's just it's not that rare of a movie, but I never see it. And I was like, this is probably the preferred method of watching this movie too. It's such a 90s movie. But yeah. So when you were growing up, what did you think you were gonna, what was your plans to when you were growing up? What were you thinking of going to being a collector? What was small branded? What were you thinking you were gonna do later on?
I never thought I'd collect to the level I collect now, which is just like it's like an addiction and an obsession, and I love it.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy though, but yeah, I think I went to school for like video production. That's actually where
I'm cool.
And we
that's awesome.
It's great. Like in college we met, and like we used to make little videos. We ran a YouTube channel for a little while called Ghouls Got Gore. And we did a bunch of like horror reviews and horror skits and short films. Like we did that in our early 20s. It's a lot of work to make like custom like film content like that repeatedly, so we kind of left that behind a little bit. And to be honest, like I got swept up in just like the streaming era, and like didn't have physical media at all until we kind of bought our house, and I got back into it again, and started collecting records, and one thing spiraled into the other. So I think younger, like I thought I wanted to make movies, and I still love that. I kind of pivoted away from that a little bit, just making my own, and life kind of happens, right? You get 3 dogs and a house and a full-time job and stuff like that. But like movies are my escape now. Like it's literally my escape from reality. Just to pop something on and chill out and take it in.
Cool. So even though you're not filmmaking anymore, you through that process, you met the love of your life, and then you appreciate film even more, right? From that experience of going through school, how hard it is.
Oh yeah,
it's really hard. So that's where a lot of it comes from you. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
That's great, and that you also you and your wife had you tried that for a while, but that's great. Your wife, she's into the collecting part too. Does she like all the tapes? Because me and my wife, I love my wife, but me and my wife is completely minimalist.
Nice.
I bought her when I was getting back into cassette tapes and stuff. I bought her Taylor Swift because she likes more pop music.
Yeah,
I bought her Taylor Swift cassette tape. I'm like, look, James Gunn and Taylor Swift brought back cassette tapes, and I know you like Taylor Swift. Here you go. And she's like, she pulled up her phone. She pulled up some audio streaming app. She's like, play. That's a lot faster, a lot better. It sounds great. Don't buy me this junk.
That's hilarious. You balance each other out. It's like, what if you were?
Well, now I'm in the basement with my tapes. Now I'm in the basement, which is fine. I got my space. But your significant other is into collecting as well, or likes the tapes, or?
So I think she liked them when I had a handful.
Oh, okay.
Now I think as the collection has grown, it's it's a little bit like, okay, when does this
tell
stop?
her your new friend Max really appreciates your collection. He wants you to get more.
Right. Just keep it growing. But no, she's not a minimalist. She's actually a big Frankenstein collector. So her entire office is decked out in Frankenstein artwork. She's got like tons of Frankenstein books with different cover art. I actually will hunt down different Frankenstein VHS tapes for her. Cool. And she's got a whole shelf of different Frankenstein movies. One of the weirdest ones, if you've never heard of it, Frankenstein's Island. And the cover is literally Frankenstein standing on a little plot of land island, and it's a really weird B movie, but just random stuff you find like that. So yeah, she's definitely not a minimalist, but probably not quite the maximalist that I am.
Okay. Well, if you need some tapes, if you need to get rid of some tapes, I'm available.
Right.
What else in your childhood? I like all entertainment. I love video games, music, and I know you collect vinyl. And if you have that new cassette player handy, within arm's length, I was looking at that.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of reviews on new cassette players.
Yeah.
And they said it was decent. And then you say you're really liking that new cassette player. So I'm interested. That FIO, is that what it's called?
Yeah, FIO, however you say it. Right. Yeah, I love it. It's just in the next room. I can grab it later or whenever.
Oh, sure. But, yeah, when you're ready. Yeah, but I'm really interested. I might look for.
You should get it
because I have retro cassette players.
You should get it. Here, hold on.
Does it have? Okay, cool.
Oh, wait. I'm getting an assist from the wife. Wow.
Oh,
this.
Let him get more tapes, please. More tapes, more vinyl. You can always make room.
Yeah, I just like physical media though. It's okay. Here we go. So this thing is awesome.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I like that it's see-through. I didn't know they had a see-through one. I researched FIO, but I didn't.
That looks amazing.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. What I like about the see-through, right, is they're making really cool colored tapes and stuff now.
Yeah.
And there's just something about seeing it spin that really makes it. But here's what you got to do. If you get this is what I highly recommend. You got to complete the look. You got to go full 80s with it. You got to get some COS Porta Pro headphones.
I want those headphones for
These
sure.
things are awesome. They actually sound really good. But yeah, I mean, look at how retro. You literally
I love the way that looks.
You're straight out of the 80s. They come with black pads, but on Amazon you can get replacement colored pads. So I had to go with the orange. Go for the
absolutely.
Color. Yeah.
So that's been working good for it. Does it have Bluetooth?
This one doesn't, but
they have versions of it. Okay.
Yeah, this one doesn't have Bluetooth. There's another one, not by FIO, that I know has gotten pretty good reviews. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. But I love that thing. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did it look like as a kid? What can you remember? You talked about your grandmother. You actually have one of your tapes you first borrowed from her. Your music or video game. Do you like video games?
I did. Dude, I probably spent most of my teenage life just playing GameCube and PS2 and Guitar Hero. And in second grade, I used to go to a buddy's house and we would play Super Mario World until our fingers bled, literally all night, sleepover type of thing. So yeah, gaming was a huge part of my life. I was having this conversation just recently of kind of falling off gaming a little bit, and I don't like it because I never thought that would happen. But I haven't really played a game seriously in probably a couple of years, but I've got a PS5 and I've got an NES and an SNES right across from me. I've got a Switch. So yeah, I love games. And as a teenager, that was a huge part of my day. I want to get back into a couple newer games that are coming out, that Indiana Jones game that was only on Xbox and PC. It's coming to PS5 and I want to pick that up because I've heard it's amazing. But yeah, I used to play Call of Duty and stuff all the time. I love Forza. That's coming to PS5. So I want to get that. But yeah, I was a huge gamer, and then I got into records pretty young. Like again, just another thing of like exploring my parents' collections.
Mhm.
And I'd flip through my parents' records, my mom's records mainly, and the cover art, right, just grabs you. So like first discovered Led Zeppelin from just flipping through my parents' records, and then I was like
Okay.
obsessed as a young teenager with like I have to hear every Led Zeppelin album. And then I went on a deep dive of AC/DC, and then
Okay.
Black Sabbath, and it just spiraled into like this classic rock love. And yeah, like music is just like there's few minutes of the day that I don't have something on.
Oh
uh
yeah, I'm
yeah,
more productive when I put
exactly.
I'm cleaning the basement, I'm
Yeah,
exercising when I put music on, I'm driving. Oh my god, Rhea blasts the stereo. Like till she goes
yeah,
to max. I was like, "Really?
yeah.
I didn't know you rocked
Yeah.
like this, Rhea." I'm like,
I'll be
"Wow."
honest, like, okay, so like for 90% of my trips with Max, the volume of the stereo would be like at maybe like 12, 14, and I would just be like, okay, I guess this is what Max does.
No,
But but
that's
no, like I showed him some of my music on my phone, and he was like, yeah, you could actually like turn it up. I listen to music like all the way
when I'm by
turned up
myself.
and I'm just like, oh really? So I like cranked it up to like up to 50, and I'm just like, yes, I don't even want to hear my intrusive thoughts. I just want to hear the
I love it.
music. I actually wanted to ask you, Brandon. So like as a kid, I would rely a lot on hardware consoles or whatever that did multiple things, because like let's say
Oh,
like the
nice.
PS1 was a CD player, right, and the PS2 was a DVD player. I think those were like the biggest selling points for it too, but I would have those, and yeah, that would be where I could play a lot of the music that I would be able to like actually own on CDs, because my mom had her own like little stereo system that
Yeah,
we couldn't touch, and her own CD collection and things like that. But when she was away and we want to, listen to, some rap or R&B or things like that, then we would pop it into the PS1 and be able to like have our
nice.
own little like stereo experience. So I just wanted to hear your experience with like hardware that has like multiple functions and things like
Yeah.
that.
Isn't the PS1 considered like a pretty good CD player? Like I'm pretty
It
sure
was
it.
dope. Yeah, man, it was on
Yeah,
point.
Oh yeah,
like
my favorite thing from the PS1 era besides the CD player is that the Wipeout games,
yeah.
you could actually put them in a CD player.
Which like how cool was that back in
That's
the
the sound. I'm like,
yeah,
what? And the
exactly.
soundtracks are so fire. I'm
Yeah.
afraid to put. I still have a car CD player, but I'm afraid to put a PS1 disc in my car
Oh, that's
CD
true.
player. I was
I
like, it might work, but I don't want to mess it up.
Dude, I have a car CD player too, and I love it. Like I would be bummed if I lost it. I've got a
No.
2016 Mustang that's got a CD player,
Oh, nice.
and
Nice.
yeah, like it's fun to
Well,
pop.
I'm rocking a
I know, right?
2017 Kia Sorento. No, I'm
There
just
you
kidding.
go.
No, I'd rather have the Mustang. I'd
Rolling
rather have the
down
Mustang.
street in the Kia.
It's got. I've always had old man cars. It's got the heated seat, leather steering wheel, and a CD player. I always get them used because they have all the extra stuff.
Yeah. But Rhea, I guess you were asking about like hardware, like multi-use hardware. Yeah, like I definitely enjoyed the PlayStation as a CD player a little bit too. Especially when like I was really there was like that pre iPod era where like we all probably had a huge CD collection. And then when iPod came out, I was just on LimeWire getting all my music from there. Don't find me, government. Like we're past that, right? Like statute of limitations. But
As long
um
as you're not selling the media, that's all I care about. Like access is one thing, but selling it, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like definitely went crazy with iPod. But I guess the funniest like memory I have about like CDs and like hardware is my dad had the Rocky Four soundtrack.
Mhm.
And like we would have like a little like weights area in the basement that like my dad would use, and I used it as a teenager. And like that Rocky Four soundtrack is still the greatest thing to work out to. It is
Okay.
literally like the best soundtrack to lift weights to or like exercise to. And I just remember popping in that CD and like set of dumbbells, and you're good. Like you're ready to go. Like you're gonna get a good workout in. So that's like a funny like CD memory I have just growing up.
Oh,
Okay.
really quick, is there maybe I've made up this memory. I don't know. But like are there DVDs that also double as CDs?
Oh, that's a good question. I wonder. You know what? Let me see if I can look it up.
I'm just like I
would
don't know
love
if that's
to
a
know.
core memory that I
think
unlocked or if I just
there's
imagined it.
Yeah.
Like how would it even how would
audio.
it
There was
how
some
would it
times
work? Like, there's written code on the top and then the bottom. Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
think there might have been DVD audio releases to make better than CDs. They tried for a little bit, but people just went back to CDs. That's my only thing I can remember.
I think a lot of times there's occasions they would include like the soundtrack as like a deluxe release. You get the DVD and the soundtrack. But I guess there's something called dual discs that can play as a DVD and a CD. So hey,
Oh, you're
Yes, I'm like I
like
didn't make
something
that
new.
up.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
technology, man. Okay, so like I know that there are like a bunch of different like off the wall sort of like random hardware that I see like very like, retro posts
Yeah.
on X. Like Sony made like a bunch of different like hardware, whether it be like internationally only available stuff and also like obviously like phones and like gaming devices. They were like one of the forerunners for that too, and I just wanted to know, do you collect any of that like super niche hardware as well?
Oh, that's an awesome question. My father-in-law has a mini disc player.
I would love one of those
that I played around with. Yeah, and like that is super interesting to get to play around with that. But so I love vintage audio, and like what I mean by that is like I love the old like big speakers with like a receiver and like I all of my turntables in my house are older ones. I just think aesthetically they look so much better. But specifically on Sony, I just sold this recently and it kind of broke my heart to sell it, but I was able to take that money and like upgrade a stereo system. But I had this really cool, there's a couple of reels of it on my Instagram. It was this like mid 80s Sony stereo system that literally was like a turntable that would eject like a CD.
I've seen
called the Sony PSFL7, and it had the entire console. Like I had the turntable, CD player, tuner, cassette deck, and then something called a remote commander that actually like ejects this remote that you can use to change inputs and like use the volume. And it had to be like just the most baller setup in the mid 80s to have something like this. But I loved that thing. It had these like brushed metal buttons and the entire interface of it. It just reminded me of like Back to the Future, like almost like a DeLorean. So that was probably like the most like niche, weird stereo from Sony that I've had in my possession. I sold it recently. I got $600 for it, which was solid.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard system to like have all the pieces come together. I actually had to drive to different states to get some of the components. Like the turntable, I drove to Detroit for. The speakers I drove to Indianapolis for, just because like they don't pop up very often or even in good condition. So I assembled this thing over like a couple years ago and then enjoyed it for a while. And its sound is not great. Like it's definitely niche, and it didn't sound bad, but it's not like as good as some of like the 70s receivers and with outputs and everything. So I kind of unloaded it and upgraded, and I've got this Pioneer setup in here that I love now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, question. Are y'all into collecting the HD DVDs? I'm wondering if those are like a market that's gonna, boom,
I almost pulled the trigger on Facebook Marketplace. A guy was $75 a HD DVD player with like 35 HD right before our trip, and I was like, I want this. I'm like, I can't, I'm going on a trip. And then it was gone by the time I got back. I was gonna say I'll reach out to you by the time no, I almost did. Yes. I'm interested in HD DVD as well.
That is definitely niche right there. Like didn't it only run for like 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, there's a lot of titles from those 2 years though, but
yeah, that would be really interesting. I that might be one of those for me that I draw the line at.
Well, there are players that play both. There are players that play.
Okay.
They're pretty reasonably priced that play Blu-ray and HD. So I was looking to those too.
That could work. Do either of you have any Betamax in your collection?
I have one Betamax tape, and I'm not planning to get. I'm also on a budget. I have occasionally I get an expensive tape. But it's harder to find a player that works, I think, with
Oh,
Betamax.
so hard.
And the tapes seem to be more expensive and rarer. So I want to collect for something like I usually now, even for video games or music, I like to collect for that had a huge install base with the general public, so it's easier to find stuff.
Same.
So
I actually, funny story on that question. Like, I was collecting Betamax before I collected VHS tapes, if you can believe that. I actually recently sold off all my Betamax, and it was just like, I'm done. I'm committing to VHS.
Okay, cool. I was looking at your Betamax stuff, and I was like jealous, but I was like, it's going to be very expensive. I can't justify that. I could barely justify the VHS to my wife.
Right.
Betamax. Although
the betas are hard to find. Yeah.
Although I did start getting into Laserdisc.
I was literally about to ask Max to show off the Laserdisc pickups and ask Brandon if he collects that stuff.
Oh, I'm so curious what you have. I have gotten into Laserdisc in the last like year and a half, and I love it. There is something just so fun about the size of it and popping the Laserdisc in. I should actually pull out a couple of those that are favorites, but yeah, dude, Laserdisc is fun. Like what about you? How long have you been on the Laserdisc?
Only the last few months. I still owe my friend Sticks Boy. Shout out to Sticks Boy. I owe you money because he hooked me up with a player and some Laserdiscs, and I left one at a resale store. I'm not like huge into Guns N' Roses, but getting into cassette tapes and stuff, I'm listening to music I haven't listened to before because it's nostalgic too.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting into more bands that I like at the time I didn't like. They had a Laserdisc of a Guns N' Roses concert that I was going to go back because I want to get some music Laserdiscs.
Yeah.
Too.
That's actually that's a big reason like people collect Laserdisc is the sound on them is really good. Especially if you're like outputting to like surround or like you got a good speaker setup. Like there's a lot of old like live band footage that like maybe has never left Laserdisc or VHS. Like that stuff's really cool.
I had a question too. So I don't know if y'all are particular about original released physical media, or if you're cool with like reprints or modern recreations or stuff like that from like these niche companies online where it's like limited production, kind of like replicas. Like, what's your opinion? Are you like, do you go for just like the originals, or if you see like these replicas, are you like down to pick those up if you can't find the originals?
I love this question. I think first off, like there's some really cool artists out there that are doing some amazing stuff. But yeah, I like the artists that are doing like newer movies that are like past the VHS era and like doing their own artistic spin. I haven't really bought any that are like a reproduction of like Sleepaway Camp or like really rare ones. I am a stickler for the first print of a
if it exists.
If it exists, I don't want the like 90s one that came out at Walmart for $5. I want the like 1982 media version or like the original version. There's something about having like that tape that this was the first time anybody could have owned this in their home, or just being from that golden age of the video era. I love getting the first release of a tape. Like that's part of my hunt and my thrill.
Oh man, that's like so like intense because I know some folks who like collect like PS1 games and they hate like collecting the greatest hits versions of those games. And I'm just like, bro, like there's barely any like greatest hits versions of these, or like how are you gonna like commit to like the originals?
I can't go as far as that, Brandon. Yeah.
Like do you look for like completed box too? Like it has to be pristine like condition too?
I don't need it to be pristine. I don't like cut box if I can help it. I want it to be, like if it was not a clamshell originally, I don't like when the box is cut and it's in a clamshell. But I don't need it to be like perfect corners or like a lot of the early like media releases and a couple other labels, right? They're called like full flap VHS boxes, and I've got a couple of those where like one of the flaps is cut off. That doesn't bother me too much. My big things are like avoiding cut boxes and obviously mold sucks on moldy tape, although I've cleaned several and you can do it, it's not that hard. I need a clean cover. Like if there's a sticker on there or it's like covering up something, like I'll try and avoid those if I can.
Oh, cool.
Some folks tend to like, you may or may not know folks who tend to like the stickers, like the little Blockbuster Be Kind Rewind stickers or the price stickers, because they think it adds to like, the vintage sort of like story behind it. But I hear what you're saying. I would be very upset if there was like a sticker, right, on this like this movie I've been hunting for months or something. So that I'm anti stickers too.
Okay. And you know what? I like what you said though about like stickers of the era. Like I do like relics on the tape itself, or even on like the side of the box or something, that like maybe show what video store had it.
I saw people on eBay trying to sell. This is the Blockbuster variant of this movie. And
it's like okay.
People pay it though. They pay more money for that.
That is wild. That's wild. Have you guys heard of the person who like collects like every copy of Titanic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max told me that they exist, and I was just like, are they like the Jerry Maguire guy?
Me and Rhea were tape hunting. We have a show called Tape Hunters. She's the more the noob with the VHS tapes, and she's like, look, this is a really nice copy of Titanic. I'm like, Rhea, you don't even know what you just did there. That's like the biggest noob move you could pull. Like Titanic is the easiest tape to find ever. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I felt like I found like the Super
but it was
Mario
really nice copy.
I felt like I found the Duck Hunt and Super Mario cartridge. I was just like, look, Max, there's 2 games on it. We need to buy it right now. It's probably worth a fortune.
That's awesome. I have a sealed copy of Titanic on VHS somewhere just because.
I think that was a sealed copy.
Even the sealed ones are like, you can't give them away. It's crazy. But the sticker thing, I've gotten really good at like if you get a heat gun or even like a hairdryer. Like you can get most stickers off, but some of them, it's so funny how like there's such a difference in like the quality of stickers, even from like shops that just put their price stickers on there. Like some stickers come off really easy with a heat gun. Others are just like, they're clinging onto that tape forever and they've like bonded with the tape cover and you're never going to get them off.
Oh yeah.
It's tough.
Do you like to keep any of your VHS cases in like the little protective shells? I know that there were like transparent ones, right?
Like this?
Yeah, that guy. Yes. Oh, dude, that's so sick.
Yeah, these are awesome. I think you can just get them on Amazon, but like my like rarer tapes or higher value ones, I put them in here. It gives me peace of mind if they ever like fall off the shelf or something. They've got something else to take the dent. So yeah, these highly recommend like for any of your higher value slips, like put them in a protective case. It's worth it.
I wanted to. We were dabbled in this a little bit, but I wanted to talk about custom tapes and new release tapes and how I feel about that. So you're interested in the custom? I want to make my own because I know how to put the movie on it. I got to find the best way to do like a custom cardboard sleeve. Like I was researching laser printers that might be able to print on cardstock, or some people said they send away. Are you interested in doing that?
I wouldn't mind dabbling in it. Yeah, it would be pretty cool. There's just some people that do it so well. I always have it in the back of my mind, like I'm not going to be able to do it any better than this person. But at the same time, it's cool, right? Because you can come up with your own artwork and your own layout. I've stumbled on like there's Reddit threads and like YouTube videos where they tell you like the recommended like size and like the power or the Photoshop template and like where to send it off. FedEx does awesome printing. FedEx. Yeah, I actually have a tape that it was originally a clamshell, but I only had the tape and I wanted to print off like the slip that would have been in the clamshell. And my wife helped me like format it all because she's just like a Photoshop whiz, way better than I am.
Okay.
And we sent it off to FedEx and like it came back awesome. And we popped it in and you almost couldn't even tell that I like reprinted the slip. So now it's got a home, which is cool.
Cool. I'll have to contact you and your wife to help. I want to do custom tapes. That's my next project.
Yeah, it's amazing what like some people come up with. Like, I love Death by VHS. If you follow, amazing stuff.
Have you bought any of them?
Yeah, I've got a couple from Death by VHS. I've got Maxine.
Oh, you got to show that. She's the biggest Maxine fan.
Oh, yes, please, please, I must see it.
Yeah.
Does Death by VHS still have Maxine? Because that would be the tape to get for Rhea. I have to track that. They probably are sold out of that one.
I think they might have sold out. Yeah, here I'm gonna grab a couple of these.
That's all right, Rhea. I'll make you a custom Maxine VHS.
I'm just gonna grab all of these right here.
I'm just imagining what the cover will be. I think I have an idea, but I want to be
if you haven't seen this, you're gonna dig it. Yeah. So.
Oh! That is the best custom Maxine I've seen.
That is so tight, man.
It's really good.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love the faux edges, you know, like that show like age. Yeah. Yeah, the age marks. Yeah, I love it. It's the little details for me.
Yeah, Death by VHS does awesome work. So I've got, I think these are both Death by VHS, Malignant.
I'll put you on full screen for a second.
I saw that. That's so cool. And it does give like 80s vibes a little bit in the second half.
Oh, Midsommar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Midsommar. And Midsommar's a yellow tape too, which is just like, oh, come on. Like, how, like that just completes it. Like, those two together.
Wow.
I had
so much care and attention.
Yeah, he does such a good job. Like mad shout out to Death by VHS. This is another Instagram.
Am I allowed to ask? I don't have that many viewers. Is the movie actually on the tape, or does he?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he always does.
We'll just be quiet about that part.
Yeah, right.
Don't listen at Hollywood.
Oh, that's so legit, man.
Yeah. Now this is from Valishard tapes, right there. Valishard tapes. Yeah, he does awesome stuff too, and he did like a limited run of these, like probably like 2 years ago now. And what's funny is I missed X in theaters, but I knew it was like very much like an homage to Texas Chainsaw and like very gritty and like old school feeling. So the first time I watched X actually was on VHS on a CRT, and it played like you were watching a movie of that era. It was awesome. It was such a good experience.
Did it have that documentary sort of like, you know, shaky cam look of Texas Chainsaw, or like I'm very curious about the fidelity of like, you know, the images on VHS for modern films. Have you ever done a side-by-side comparison?
They're good, honestly. Have you seen X?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Yes. I love the X trilogy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That trilogy is amazing. Yeah, I mean, X has that, like, X captures like the vibe of 70s filmmaking so well. It just feels so gritty, and like it feels of that era. Like they nailed it. So yeah, honestly, like new movies transfer to VHS really well. I think the ones though, at least for me, movies that aren't like super special effects heavy, like that are a little bit more grounded in reality and like practical filmmaking, like that's the stuff that I would want to watch newer on VHS. Like I'm not going to go out and watch like, you know, like a Marvel movie on VHS. Like to me, there's no point. Like the special effects are meant to shine in like a big widescreen TV, but like something like X that is very much made to resemble a movie from the 70s, like that translates so well to VHS.
Okay. I was going to ask what's your thoughts, any criticisms on official current VHS releases.
Oh,
I only have this because my friend Bruce found it for me. I have had such bad luck. That's another thing. I'm getting pissed looking for new tapes at Walmart.
Oh yeah.
All the scalpers get it. I didn't know there was a pre-order up for this. So Bruce got it on pre-order for me. I was looking in the stores. It's extremely frustrating. Are you actively looking for current release stuff that they're starting to creep back in? There's this, and there's Terrifier series has been released on VHS officially in Walmart. What's your thoughts on this? Are the studios charging too much? This was like $60.
Ooh, wow, 60, really?
That's
wild.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Though. You know, I think it's awesome that it's happening. Like, I think it's a huge win that it's even something that you can walk into a Walmart and buy.
Are you trying to actively get these ones though, like Terrifier? And
I have, I don't have the Walmart Terrifier, but I have
Screenbox.
Witter. It's like Witter Entertainment.
Oh yeah,
Reporter fan. I have all their Terrifier VHS releases. That's another movie that just translates well to VHS for me because it feels like an 80s slasher. But yeah, I'll be pretty selective on the newer movies that I buy. I love that Romulus though. Like I saw when they announced that and I thought it was really cool.
Well, I think the interesting thing about this is it's actually pan and scan.
Oh, really? Damn.
But I was gonna
Non-scripted.
I was gonna open it, but then my audience is like, don't open it. I'm like, man, I
Wait,
wanted to review it.
for us that don't know what that means, could you give us a summary of what that is?
Well, like
Pan and
movies, right?
scan?
Like if you see movies in the theater, it's a wide screen, and then old school TVs are very square, right? If you remember, like the old CRT TVs, so it wouldn't naturally fit well on a square TV. There would be black bars. So they thought rightfully so, the general audiences at the time wants it to fill their whole screen. So they would cut it down. It basically looked like the Snyder cut. You know, the Snyder cut had the black bars on the side. So they would do that for home releases, and it would be modified from the original widescreen theatrical. So some people don't like that. It's actually a different feeling. I feel like it's a different version of a movie. I actually love pan and scan.
Me too.
Yeah. I stopped collecting widescreen on VHS.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look I just love the pan and scan feeling. So that's what's unique about this. It's not widescreen. As far as I know, because I didn't open it, they're saying it's pan and scan, that means they had to do something different than just slap it on a tape, you know.
I actually love that too. I think that's awesome. And I agree. I would much rather watch a pan and scan VHS copy than a widescreen copy. And the reason is there's thought on, because they can't capture the whole movie on the screen.
You are missing some of the frame though.
You're missing some of the frame, but there's also thought in what they're showing you, like what they're emphasizing to fill the screen. So yeah, I agree. It feels like it's a different experience of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I have some weird questions that I like to ask viewers, or guests. So, Brandon, if you had all the money in the world, what would be your perfect day? What would you do? Would you be on YouTube doing VHS? Would you be watching VHS all day? What would you do?
I'd probably do the most non-VHS thing, and I would be like on the beach in Hawaii.
Okay.
But maybe.
But your tapes aren't there though.
Well, hold on. If I've got all the money, so maybe I would have a great Hawaiian beach setup, maybe some good cocktails, good like umbrella tent, and maybe like a little CRT that I could throw a tape on and just chill out on the beach in Hawaii. Like that sounds pretty great. But yeah, I mean, man, that's the question, right? If you have limitless money, like what do you do first? There's so many options. But I love to travel. I like
you travel more.
I like my home base for sure, and I like to keep my home base fun. But I also have that travel bug, and that's always in the back of my mind too.
Great answer. Great answer.
And what I love about traveling too is that, that's even more surface area for hunting. You never know, like going to like different thrift stores and like resale shops. Like there's other things that you could do outside of like actually being on vacation. At least that's what I like to do too, is like go to different stores and see what what regional stuff they have, or just one-offs, or you never know. So I just go and make time for that.
I love that. Like anytime I'm taking like a vacation or a trip somewhere, I always try and find a record store. Just find one that's been around for a while. I like the dusty old ones that have a big used selection, and you just flip through what they have. Yeah, it's the best because you find different stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Any part of retro collecting that's too frustrating and then you've given up? I know you said Betamax. Anything else that you're like, nah, I'm not doing this? For one, I was starting to collect 8-tracks.
I was going to say not 8-tracks.
No, 8-tracks was, I got my dad a player. I got me a player. My dad, I borrowed some tapes and like half of them broke. And I'm like, Dad, what did you do to my tapes? He's like, well, it's not my fault. They disintegrated in the thing. And it was just the best. I'm done with 8-tracks.
Yeah, 8-tracks I don't think is a rabbit hole I'm going to go down. That's probably a no. I was pretty deep into Betamax for a while. And I actually started.
Did you have issues with it?
I thought the picture was always kind of like not great. And it's funny because supposedly Beta has a slightly better resolution than VHS. But like I always had issues with betas, and I actually sent this is how deep I was into beta. I got a Betamax player on Facebook Marketplace. I sent it off to be repaired because I wanted it like fully restored, and it ran okay. It was fully fixed up, but like I just never felt. I always felt like betas kind of had issues, and they're hard to find, and people that collect them hoard them, and their prices are kind of all over the place. So yeah, like I committed to VHS, and happy I did. So yeah, betas. I don't think I'm going back to, unless I stumble on like a Facebook market listing that's like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw on beta. Like I'll jump on that just to get them if it's cheap. But yeah, betas and 8-tracks are probably a no. Outside of that,
You mentioned HD
yes.
DVDs, right? You're not gonna chase that White Dragon.
I don't see that happening. But I'd be curious, like if anybody can convince me otherwise, I would want to know like what do they find value in them.
I mean, they're good quality. I was also gonna start collecting because I like video games PSP UMDs, but I've seen some of those jump in price to some of the horror movies.
Yeah, UMDs, it just makes me mad because I see so many resellers just have just the cartridge slash disc, and I know that like as a PSP owner, that is already like a very fragile form of media too because the shell is just so thin and yeah, I don't know. It was interesting how like UMDs like were marketed, and what I don't like about Sony is that so much of their stuff is proprietary, and they want it to like just catch on with like the general public and just become like the new sort of in vogue sort of like, like way to like play video games. Like I mean it kind of took off with like the PS1 and having like CD based games and stuff like that, but I guess like my point is that yeah, like with UMDs I didn't know what the intention was behind that as far as like the design, because it didn't seem very um I don't know if it was economical because it's like a cartridge and a CD, and like you're developing like proprietary hardware for it. So I'm a big fan of UMDs and PSP, but looking back, I'm just like, what was the intention and decisions like about behind that?
I want to. Sony was trying to. I think Sony was trying to get people to adopt their medium. It's almost. Is it? I would love to compare a UMD to a mini disc. If it's something similar, like at that moment, how different is the disc size and things like that?
I mean, it's developed for like that screen size for PSP, so that's like another thing too. Where like if it's supposed to be a universal media disc, then I would hope that it has like another player you can pop it into, like something and play it on your TV or whatever. So yeah, that's ironic that it's called a UMD, but it's literally like specific to that one console.
Yeah. That would have been great if the PSP played mini disc audio too. Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
Oh, that would have been cool. I could have done it all in one. Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you somebody's rigged like a PSP to output onto like their 4K TV.
I'm gonna look that up on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
No, there are cables. There's different cables that Sony actually officially released, but it's like smaller on the screen. Yeah. And then there was a third-party device that was really good that outputted the whole thing, but it's like they stopped making it. It's like super expensive, and I tried to track it down. So there were things.
Do y'all have the little radio transmission things or add-ons for your cassette players? Like the mobile ones. That's a thing, right? Because some of them can play radio, but then other ones don't. So you can buy add-on for it.
I don't have that on mine, but like, is it just like a radio, like an FM transmitter or something like that?
Yeah, I just remembered seeing a retro post of one on like the PSP, and like that used to be a thing where you could just like clip it onto stuff, so on your like mobile device. So I was just curious if y'all were aware of that or seen it before.
I have not seen that. That's wild. I was always jealous of PSP owners. I never had one. I always wanted one and never got.
I got it most of my collecting history. I collected right at the right time when it was so cheap. Nice. I still have a Dreamcast over there that I got for $20.
I love Dreamcast. I'm mad.
I have my launch one, and I have one that I have for $20, and I still have the sticker on it. I'm like, yeah.
That is awesome.
PSP collection I got when it was like $5.
Yeah,
with games and
stuff.
Like
the end of the life cycle.
Yeah. One thing that you stopped collecting Betamax. One thing I still really want, but I've stopped collecting, is because I went crazy. And you're more like original release. I really love late release stuff. Like I don't know if you went into Korean looked at Korean tapes.
Oh man, that's a deep rabbit hole.
No, and don't do it, because
Yeah.
I was actually joined a Facebook community, and there's 2 guys that control the market. They're nice enough, and they because I can't go to Korea to get these tapes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I told them I wanted certain tapes. Like, I love Spider-Man 3. I know people hate that movie. You never tried to do it. I said, please look out for that tape for me. And as soon as he found it, he did an auction to deliver it to me directly. I'm like, damn it. And then that went for like a couple hundred.
Holy
and then
cow.
the one where I checked out is I actually really do like Marvel movies on VHS. So here's one of my rare tapes. Here's the first Iron Man. The thing in the I'll show you the tapes. These tapes are amazing.
That's actually cool.
So it's a little wrinkled. Yeah.
So like really quick, my question, and I could be misremembering this as well. Like overseas, some countries are still using VHS, right? Because they're just now getting access to a lot of modern stuff.
Well, my guess is like, just like movie theaters, like for instance, the movie's released now, it might do better in other regions because there wasn't wide selection of movie theaters in all these other countries in the past like there is now. So there's more movie theaters there. When US and Japan they share NTSC, the same signal. They adopted things. They seem to adopt things first. Other countries were still holding on to VHS. So 2004, 2005 was the last official year of US releases. But in Korea, there's official tapes released by Hollywood up till like 2011, 2012.
Wow.
And some like even James Cameron, that's another one I want that I didn't get. Avatar was released on VHS in Korea. Now it has the Korean subtitles, but it's NTSC, so it plays on an American player.
Wow.
But the reason I stopped is also Iron Man 2 I really wanted. And I'm not shading. Look, you got to make your money. You got to make your bag. They did a Facebook auction where you couldn't see who else was bidding, and it was going into thousands. And I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing these auctions. Like, I'll send you PayPal. I'll send you on eBay. And I was spending this was like $80.
Okay.
So I was willing to do that, but I'm not going into the thousands for these tapes.
That's steep.
And I was like, I'm out. But look, the tapes are actually really amazing. So that's things I saw. The labels and everything.
Nice.
Oh my
Paramount Pictures, and then look, there's logos ingrained into the thing.
Oh, whoa.
That's so tight, man.
Yeah. Oh, look at these.
Wow.
It's just they're so cool.
Yeah.
I'll show you some other. I only have a few here.
Did you actually watch it? I mean, I don't know. I'd be hesitant to even put it into anything.
I've watched a few.
Do you know, is it widescreen or pan and scan?
Pan and scan.
It is?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think there might be a few that are widescreen. Here's the Incredible Hulk.
That's cool.
And I love they have like different colors and stuff.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And a lot of them have all these really interesting stickers. This I'll just episode 3 was not officially released. This is an official release, episode 3. It's in plastic. And then even this one, I have Close Encounters already, but you got to see this tape.
That looks cool. I mean, the red clamshell. Okay, green tape, red clamshell.
Green tape.
Wow, that looks awesome.
Yeah. So, but
that's very cool.
Yeah, it's something that I would not recommend because there's a lot of collectors out there, and I'm not throwing shade on people making money, but it's just like there's 2 people like, oh, I'm not finding any tapes. This is the last one, and then all of a sudden they find new stores to get tapes. I'm like, okay, bro.
Yeah, it's wild. Like some of the people that just consistently sell.
Well, I have no way. I like to find stuff on my own too. It's just so it's very frustrating. Like maybe if I get to, I don't want to fly to Korea.
Right.
But 2 sellers on the internet control the whole market.
That's unreal.
Because they were only rentals though.
Okay.
They weren't like home release in Korea at the time.
Man.
If you could, if that since I showed off a few of mine, if you have any tapes available of your favorite finds, your rarest tapes, or something you want to share for show and tell, and I could show you some recent pickups that I got.
I'd love to. Yeah, I got a couple. I got a stack next to me. So I think honestly, this is like a top 5 tape in the collection, and it's not super rare, but like it's rare enough. And when I finally got it, I was so stoked. So I don't know if you've seen this movie, but Black Roses.
Oh, let me see this.
And it's got
that's an official release tape.
That is an official tape.
What year?
This is how it came out in 1988.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's got the 3D like raised.
Wow.
Cover. There's a couple tapes that have the same like aesthetic. I forget what the other ones are, but like this movie, if you are into like 80s metal, is so much fun. One of my favorite 80s metal bands is called Lizzie Borden, and a bunch of their songs are on the soundtrack that get like repurposed for the movie. This movie is a blast, and it's one of my favorite 80s horror movies. And the cover, it's awesome.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's really good.
It's not too expensive, or
this one's probably like 50 to 70, depending on where you get it from. So yeah, it's not terrible. It's not like over 100 or anything, but it's definitely.
Did you find that in the wild, or do you go to resale sites or something?
This one was an eBay.
There's some things you just have
that you gotta like. I'm never gonna find it in the wild. So yeah, this was an eBay find that I got. I got this for a pretty good price. I think I got this for like 40.
That's good.
It's a little. I mean, it's got a little bit beat up, but like the cover looks good.
We'll have to prepare you for what you're looking for, like your Grail tapes that you don't have.
Oh man,
we'll have to ask that.
Do that. Yeah, that's a good question.
But keep going.
Black Roses is a good one. So in addition to horror, like I'm just a film buff in general. Like I'll watch any genre, and I'm actually working on something that I haven't posted about because I've been working on it for a while now. So are you familiar with like the American Film Institute and like their top 100 films list?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I got really into like I took a film studies class and I got really into that AFI list. And this was back in like when Netflix was still sending off discs. So I was working through that list and just watching like all these classic movies. Most of them aren't horror. Like we're talking like black and white movies. But what I'm actually trying to do, I'm trying to get the top 20 films from that list on their very first ever VHS version. Cool. And it's way harder than you would think. Like some of these do not pop up very often. I'm on eBay, like following a
couple. But I'm not doing that.
No, I know.
No, so, I'm happy with the re-releases on VHS. Sometimes the quality on the tape's actually better too, in my opinion. But I respect that. that.
So this is one of my favorites because it's absolutely like mint. And this is a classic movie, like not horror at all. But this is the first release, and it's very hard to find. And this one is in mint condition. So Citizen Kane right here.
Oh wow.
This label is called Nostalgia Merchant. This is an extremely hard to find tape. I
have Citizen Kane, but not the first release.
Yeah, it's got this little window here. I think this version came out in 1978.
Wow.
So this is right at the dawn of VHS movies getting released, and I just absolutely love this thing.
That's cool.
I love this movie too. Like it's outstanding. So yeah, Citizen Kane, very first release. Like I said, I'm getting close to finishing that off.
That's cool.
Actually just recently got a couple that were really hard to find. So believe it or not, like the first release of The Godfather, like goes for a pretty penny. Like,
really?
Sometimes anywhere from like $70 to $100. Like,
okay,
you wouldn't think this would be a hard tape to come by, but this one it's like the movie is so long they had to put it on 2 tapes. So there's a part 1 and a part 2. Mm-hmm. And this is the 1980 version of The Godfather.
That's probably better because if you wanted to play that, it's better that if they tried to fit it all in one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I think like these tapes are so old that there's a limitation. Literally, like they didn't have enough space; they had to put it on 2. But yeah, I recently finally got that first release of The Godfather, and then this one was also really hard to find. Again, not horror, just classic movies. But Sunset Boulevard with the gatefold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this does not pop up very often. It's a little beat up. right there. But like this was so hard to find. I tried to hunt this thing down forever, just on like eBay, Mercari, like Etsy, wherever, and like nobody had one of these listed. And then finally one popped up, and I think I got this for like $20, so it wasn't bad.
Oh man, that's so sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna ask for VHS, since like I love the Godfather movies, and I was
yeah.
curious if they ever released on VHS the TV versions, you know, with like the different cutscenes that aren't
Mm.
in one or two.
Ooh, I don't know. I'd be curious.
That'd be
Yeah,
that's an interesting question, Ray. I'm gonna
that's
do
good.
research on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
me
one I
too.
want. That's the one I've never seen. I have to like watch the clips on YouTube, and then I guess it's like the it's cut where like the flashbacks are like in order, so it's like prequel
Okay.
to like, you know,
Whoa.
the present day stuff. So yeah, that was another reason
I
why I
bet
wanted.
you
And then
Godfather
yeah,
fans thought
different
of your
cuts.
question. Yes.
Yeah, and
Really
then
cool.
also I stepped away for a few minutes to find my 7 Up
Oh,
cassette player.
Yes.
It's so cute. Speaking of Godfather and Italian colors, so
yeah.
That is awesome.
yay!
I
Yeah,
can't believe how cool that is. I've never seen that.
yeah.
Well, Retro
Then
Nerd
there's it.
Girl, we might have to have you
Yes.
in and film archaeology on at the same time. Let me know, Retro. I'm
Hey,
going to contact you on X.
let's do it.
She's a great content creator.
That's amazing.
But that's all. Yeah, that's awesome, Rhea. What tape's in there?
Oh, I had REM Automatic for the People in there. Yeah.
Nice.
One of my favorite tapes. One of my favorite tapes. Okay, do you have any more recent pickups or holy grails? I'm going to show you some of my recent pickups.
Yeah, I don't think I pulled any. Well, definitely that Godfather.
When we get you back, I'm going to have you do the top 5 when next time you visit, because you're hooked. You don't have a choice now.
I'm down.
We're bringing you back.
Fun.
Next time I'm going to be top 5 you found in the wild,
Ooh,
and top 5 you had to go to retail.
I already got a couple. I can
Okay,
pull
because
out.
top
Okay.
5 in the wild. That'll
What's-
be
What's like easy-ish top 5? Like, oh, top 5 favorite VHS in your collection. That would be a good one.
This is my favorite right here. Here, I'm gonna take it out of its cover.
Ray, if you could think some modern questions too about what he thinks about the current film industry, movies and stuff.
This,
Ooh,
this is
Oh,
my favorite.
I'm jelly.
The reason this is my favorite is because I got this when I got this. It was the filthiest tape I had ever seen, and actually still holds the title of dirtiest, grimiest tape I've ever seen. Like there was nice. You got the Midnight Movies one.
I had to get this on. I got this in the wild Facebook Marketplace, and I had to compete with other people. The seller was like, "I should have asked for more." I'm getting all kind of messages. I'm like, "Well, you talked to me first."
Yeah, you won out.
Yours is the more rare for
Killer
sure.
Clowns is amazing, but this thing, like I kid you not, like it was covered in grime and filth, and then the tape itself was the like moldiest tape I have ever seen, and I actually cleaned it, and it's perfect now. So I made a reel of when I was cleaning up this tape, so you can see how bad it was, how dirty it was. It's on my Instagram. Like it was so nasty. I mean, it's still not perfect. It's beat up. It's got a scratch down the middle. But basically, like this is my favorite tape because I got it on OfferUp, and I saved it. Really, like it was.
How much did you pay for it?
Paying. So because it was moldy, I got Killer Clowns, which is like easily a $150, $200 tape.
The original release.
I got this for $50.
Nice.
It was awesome. So it was like it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite just VHS era movies. I love the cover. And then the story behind cleaning it up is like why this is one of my favorites.
So you're not afraid, now that you've had that experience, you're not afraid to get a moldy tape for a reasonable price and try to save it?
Definitely not. Definitely
Okay,
not.
cool.
It's tedious, but I've got like a little workstation in the basement, and you use like a real high percentage rubbing alcohol and like a burner VCR, and I use like a microfiber cloth on a Q-tip. And you just got to run it back and forth and get all the mold out. You gotta unscrew the case and clean the mold out from where the reels sit.
If I ever need your services, I'll pay you PayPal and send it. If I ever find a tape like that. I won't get really moldy, but every once in a while it comes up.
Well, I did have a question too. So like, you also collect like, the Blu-rays and 4Ks as well, right?
Yeah, this got a whole wall of them behind me actually.
Yeah. Do you go for are you a completionist, or are you just, looking for the hidden gems or personal favorites?
In terms of like having them on like 4K or having
Oh
them
yeah,
on
let's start with like, the
mediums.
4K stuff, yeah, for that medium.
Yeah, it's definitely like 4K is almost taken over in terms of like I buy more like new releases on like a 4K remaster than I do VHS tapes. I think that the VHS market's just gotten so competitive. Like it's really like prices have gone up on stuff that I just bought 2 years ago, which is crazy. But yeah, I've gotten really into 4K just because having like a proper, like I got a really good sound bar and just a fun like setup in this room where it's like my movie watching room. And like 4K remasters are absolutely amazing. It's they're what they're doing with like the packaging, the art, the inserts, like all that has completely sucked me in. So as far as being like a completionist, I do a lot of blind buys actually on 4K movies. Like Vinegar Syndrome puts out stuff that I'd never even heard of, or maybe I've heard of it and this is the best version it's had since VHS. I do a lot of blind buys on stuff I've never seen before, and it's really fun actually to sit down and watch something that's been like remastered, comes in an awesome slipcover package, and take it in for the first time. So I like blind buying like remastered 4Ks and Blu-rays a lot.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's hella sick. Actually, I was going to ask you another like kind of like modernist sort of question. Do you feel like every movie necessarily needs like a 4K
Mm.
Blu-ray restoration release? Is that, or do you feel like some movies were just made for the medium of like VHS or older forms of media where it'll actually miss the point of the intention of the filmmakers making it for that form of media? Because it's just a side note, I follow a lot of like arcade and retro gamers who look for the original hardware to play on, because a lot of times the games are developed for that specific hardware as opposed to just porting it onto
Yeah.
like an emulator player, or like, I don't want to talk down about Arcade 1-Up because I do like them, but like, yeah, they would rather buy the original rather than an Arcade 1-Up. So back to like what I was saying about the 4K releases versus VHS, what are your thoughts on that?
That's an awesome question. Yeah, I think where 4K and this era of like physical media is honestly like I think we're living in the best era to collect movies right now for everything that's available. But I think the restoration component is why I think I would love to see everything at least get the Blu-ray treatment. Now I don't think everything needs 4K. Like there are certain movies that it's like, okay, what's the upgrade from the Blu-ray scan to the 4K? Like, is it really making that much of a difference? Or sometimes the quality of the source materials is just so poor that like you can't upscale it to 4K. It's not going to look better. It's actually going to look worse. So I think like from a restoration standpoint, like they're saving so many movies that would have been just like lost to time. That just would have been, let's face it, like our VHS tapes are not going to be around forever. The original film reels aren't going to be around forever.
No one told me that.
I know. Well, hopefully, like our lifetime.
They're a lot, they're a lot more resilient than people let on, though. I mean, you talk about clothing mold happens, but it's not that prevalent. And these tapes are pretty hardy, a lot of them. At least the ones in the later releases. The ones that you collect are that's why I'm like, I'm not going that far back because it's gonna get iffy.
Okay, so like I'm very like, ignorant to the whole like how sturdy and are these, forms of media, especially when like the ribbon tape. Like I'm someone who like whenever a cassette tape would get ribbons on it, I'm just like, oh well, I guess it's dead. I would never even try to fix it. But Max is telling me no, you can actually save a lot of this media. But I'm just like, how? Like
I actually tell
like
people that collecting VHS tapes now is the best time to ever, because when you went to a resale store back in the day, it was the ones that went through the rental system that were passed on for passed on so many hands on these, and you had beat up VCRs and tapes falling apart because they were used and you weren't buying it. So a lot of us didn't have great VHS players because they were expensive. We had the stuff. So my theory is that the collectors that are like you, that are like 4K is amazing, they're finally letting go of their collections that were just sitting on the shelf. And we know collectors don't watch their stuff a lot. We know.
There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah. Right. So they appreciate it, but they're on the display on a shelf. Yep. Those are the best tapes to get, and those are the tapes you're finding for $1 now. Yep. Except for horror. Everyone knows what horror is worth. But that's my theory, is like, if I would have tried to collect these tapes in the late 90s or early 2000s, they would have been the ones with the cardboard falling apart or stuff in the resale shops. But now you have people's, and unfortunately, some people are moving on, passing on to those collections are going on the market of people that, you know, cherished it, and then family members like, I don't know how much VHS tapes. So that's what's happening now. I think that's my theory.
No, I'm with you. And like, I would have never, like, as a teenager, you know, like I never would have thought you could like repair VHS tapes. It's like, oh, if it's broken, it's garbage now. But like, you can clean up mold. If the tape snaps off the reel, I have literally had to do that. You literally like retape it to the reel and you know, run the spool back through, and it's good to go again. You can splice if the tape snaps in the middle. You can splice it together.
The movie industry used to edit like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's people actually like restoring and preserving these things, and that's an aspect about it that I love too. Like that Killer Clowns tape. Like, if that just sat in a box or a basement, like it just would have gotten worse condition or decayed more. But I cleaned it up and saved it, and like, it's a super rare tape that's totally functional now. So yeah, I think I love that 4K discs are preserving and like,
aren't they going up in price a little bit because they're
getting crazy.
That's why honestly I can't afford. Well, you know, I went down the rabbit hole of Korean tapes, so I'm done with that. I'm done with really expensive. I can't do 4K right now. My budget right now is on the used market. So if I see a 4K or a Blu-ray at a resale store, they'll do that. But all the like the Vinegar Syndrome, the other places, I'm like, I can't roll with that. It gets very pricey.
It is getting crazy, and a lot of the stuff that comes out, like, you don't need to buy it on day one, and like, if you wait 8 months or 10 months, like, they have a spring sale, they have a fall sale, they have a Black Friday sale, and like, then you can get that stuff for a much more reasonable price. But yeah, like, when stuff first comes out, and there's certain ones, like, if you don't jump on it, they're gone. Like Vinegar Syndrome just did the Keep, and like, they'll sold out instantly. But like, a lot of them, they're gonna sit for a while, and like, you wait a year and it's still available, and you catch the sale at the right time, you can get a lot of that stuff for a good price. So you got to be smart about it. But there's some stuff that's fun to just get when it comes out.
Cool. I have a fun question too. So I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but and I'm sure we want to open the panel to some questions in the chat, but fun question. Would you rather have a full Criterion shelf of movies, or a lifetime supply of dollar bin DVDs?
I'd go Criterion for sure. Yeah,
and that's all you can watch. That's all you can watch for the rest of your life.
That's all I can watch is Criterion. Yes.
Ooh. Or the Dollar Tree DVD collection that's endless, bottomless.
Bottomless. Man.
They occasionally put some really good gems in there.
That's tough. That's tough.
I would definitely go Criterion though.
I'm probably gonna go Criterion
because there's the rare dollar gem, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those dollar bin movies are like your sci-fi, like,
where the Criterion, you know, it's going to be quality.
Yeah, you know it's going to be quality, but a lot of those dollar bin stuff, that's like,
good question.
Kangaroo Croc fights Mega Shark or something.
Well, now I've changed my mind. If that's an actual movie, now I'm going with Kangaroo Croc.
Right?
Fights
probably is
Sharknado or something. Yeah.
The rule with sci-fi is you just put two random animals together, and that sci-fi movie exists.
Who's your favorite action star that you collect on VHS?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got. I don't think I have it completed, but I'm pretty close to having all of Schwarzenegger's movies on VHS. Like, I've got a whole shelf that's just Schwarzenegger. So like, he takes number one. Stallone though too, like huge Sylvester Stallone fan.
I'm trying to get some Van Damme stuff lately.
Yeah.
I was hoping to hear some Seagal, but like, not that he's a good person, but yeah, that's the one thing that I want to kind of like, you know, hear more about. But yeah, it's usually only like 1 or 2 movies at most that people have of him.
I have like 3 or 4 Seagal, and that's probably about as many good movies as he has, right? So
yes. Yeah. Is there any I'm going to show you some of the pickups I have.
Yeah.
But is there any genre that, since you started collecting retro, that you open up to? Because mine's horror. I never was into horror. I always avoided it. I watch my wife loves horror, but she doesn't like physical media. She's like, it's on my PC. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But is there any genre that from your love of collecting that you're like opening up to more, or any genres that you want to get into more? Like, I don't know, there's anime tapes, there's martial arts tapes. I want to find more martial arts tapes, anything like that.
Not necessarily for the tape reason, but I really just for the appreciation of the movies reason. I want to do a hardcore deep dive into Westerns.
Yeah.
And I've seen a decent, like a handful, but nowhere near as many, especially of like the legendary ones as I want to. And I'm a big like Italian horror giallo film fan. I don't know if you're into that. And a lot of
I respect it, but I personally haven't delved into that yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the golden era of that, like spawned out of spaghetti Westerns. And a lot of the actors that are in Italian horror movies and giallos, like probably did a run of like Westerns at some point. And there's some really, really cool, I love that. I love you too, man. But there's just some Westerns I would love to do a deep dive into. That's a genre I've thought about, like making a month of the year, like a Western month, and just only watch Westerns for that entire month. So I'm hoping to do that at some point.
Yeah. Our pal Perp here, he actually directed an episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead season 3.
No way.
Yeah. He loves horror. He loves horror.
Hell yeah.
See, he's trying to steal you already. He's like,
got the Syria background. I dig it.
Okay.
All right, I have sorry, I keep thinking of really like fun random questions. Okay, so here's a tough one, and then Max, it's open to you after Brandon. So if someone just came by and offered you a blank check for your entire collection and you can't collect ever again, what is that dollar amount?
Oh, are we talking just VHS, or are we talking like
everything?
Media?
Yeah, you're gonna be streaming and like
for me, it's the easy answer for me. I love these tapes. But even though they're special, I like $1 million, I would sell it and I wouldn't collect again, just so I could watch more tapes and spend more time with my family and spend more time watching the movies. I mean, this is great.
Yeah.
And I love doing this. And I love the hunt though.
Me too.
That would be the hardest thing, not to actually give up the tapes, that's not start over again. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Not start over again, because I could find some again. But if I could set my family up for life and then I could be a YouTuber, like $1 million isn't going to last forever, but I could probably try YouTube full time. You know, it would change my world. I think anything less than $1 million would be kind of, actually, I couldn't, with my wife has a say in this too. She would say anything. She would say any amount. My wife would say, you mean I get rid of my tapes and I get $1? Go take it all. So that's my wife's answer. My answer is $1 million. That would set me up, change my life where I could do a few different things. Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think we'll probably have to start at $1 million for sure. Especially like if I sold it all, but I didn't have the limitations of like if I wanted to start collecting again, I'd go lower. But you throw that caveat in there where it's like you can never buy movies or records again. Like that hurts.
That's like my wife. My wife's like, can I pay you if he agrees to this? You don't have to collect again. Like, I'll give you $100 if he never collects again. Great question. That was an amazing question.
That's
good. Well, my Killer Clowns is not as epic as yours, but I got these two and like 3 other rare tapes for $100 Facebook Marketplace.
Nice.
Within this last year. And this was within a month. I've been looking for this for years.
Oh,
Shaun of Dead.
That one's not easy to come by, honestly.
What would you be your guess as how much I paid for it?
I'm gonna say $5.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been going for 100 plus. I got for 50. That was decent.
That's good.
That's fair price. Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, that's damn good. I thought you had a huge success story that I was guessing way low.
No. I mean, I was actually. The other thing I stopped collecting is I was getting PAL tapes because I got really expensive VHS players that play worldwide tapes.
Oh, I want one of those.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Really? Okay,
because I have 2 of them.
Yeah.
One of them is not like it plays tapes fine, but the output is not good.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to fix that.
Maybe
And then
that's just need to be cleaned.
I tried to. I just tried to tape that cleans, you stick the tape in and cleans it, but I don't know how to deep clean a VCR myself.
Yeah.
And then the PAL tapes, I like the different format because they're not boxes, they're like clamshells.
Yeah.
But the actual tapes looks like the actual VHS tapes, it looks like cheaper stickers, and they're very affordable PAL tapes, but shipping them. But shipping is where
what kills you.
Shipping is too expensive, so I've stopped collecting PAL tapes.
Okay.
These I just picked up yesterday, $1. I finally found Beverly Hills Cop 3, so I found every one for $1.
I've never seen 3.
$1 Million Baby.
Nice.
I was really happy to find this because it's a popular movie, but I have never found this in the wild.
Yeah.
And this is just a random Replacement Killers I already had, but I never saw the one like that says action movies at the top, so I bought a second copy.
Yeah.
And then I was really upset. I rewatched my hunt videos and I see if I missed anything, and I did miss something right there for $1. I can't believe I didn't see this. I'm so mad at myself. I'll show you this. This is I just uploaded this last night. See if you see the tape I missed.
Hold on. Let me take a look here.
The People versus Larry Flint. That's kind of an uncommon tape. It's not like super expensive, but
yeah,
I'm like, damn it.
I mean, there's a lot of weird titles in there. Honestly, what store was this?
It's like 40 minutes away from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
It's actually, shout out to Rhea. I was like, I'm not walking around this dead mall because we were there for a video game store, and she's like, no, I just want to look down here, and there was a random thrift store at the end of the dead mall, and this tape looks like they've been sitting there for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best when you stumble in like that hole in the wall place that like maybe nobody else has found. It's the best.
Oh, funny story too, Max, and you could probably tell this a lot better. Okay, so like the story you're talking about where you left the People versus Larry Flint. Okay, that lady was super cool. She was like $1 for this, $1 that. And then conversely, a place that we went to near Flint, Michigan, when we went to go visit Enosh, there was one place that we saw that had like, a whole entire person's collection, but the lady was like, nickel and diming you for like, oh yeah, this has 2 tapes. Oh, we got to charge you like 2 times.
Oh,
if it's like, one movie that has 2 tapes, it's $2. I'm like, but it's one movie. But you know what, Rhea? It's still a blessing because that's probably why those tapes are there, is because those ladies are really particular.
That's true. Yeah.
So they're not going to haggle.
You were the biggest sale of the day for them.
No.
Yeah,
right. I was, but I'm like, I understand now why these tapes are still here, because you're like weird about, if someone's buying this amount of product from you, you make deals with them, or they weren't doing anything. They're like, no. And then there was a sealed copy, and they're like, well, what's in here? There's a special booklet. I'm like,
oh, come on.
Yes.
That's next level. That is next level.
Hey.
They're like, oh, it's got a booklet. That's an extra quarter. Let's go.
Well, there's a CD soundtrack in here too.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it's one thing.
Do either of you collect DVDs as well?
I don't.
I'm not opposed to DVDs.
Yeah.
I prefer VHS over DVDs. I've had worse experiences with DVDs not working.
Yeah.
Scratching easy, especially used DVDs. Forget about it. I would think that a used VHS 10 times would work more than a beat up used DVD.
I don't
even slightly scratched. Like even if a DVD looks perfectly fine, especially if you've probably heard about Warner Brothers discs. Don't collect some Warner Brothers discs because they had a bad. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
So they had bad pressings back in the day, a bad factory, and a lot of those just stopped working.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, fortunately, collectors have a chart of which ones to avoid.
Okay.
But
so I actually have just recently, within the last year or so, I've gotten back into DVDs, but very selectively. I'm right there with you. Like the coolness factor of a VHS versus a DVD, it's off the charts. The VHS, like it's the aesthetic, everything about it. I'd much rather have the tape. But I've really gotten into like Anchor Bay DVDs.
Those are cool.
Absolute kings of like putting out so many obscure movies.
And I haven't heard any issues with theirs.
Yeah, Anchor Bay did amazing stuff. And then the other thing I'm trying to add is, do you guys remember from like the early 2000s, the Dimension Extreme movies?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like they're like Walmart, Best Buy only. Like straight to home video, and some of them are terrible and some of them are really good. I've been trying to hunt those down at like thrift stores and stuff. Anything that was a Dimension Extreme movie. And a lot of them have never really made it out of the DVD era, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I would like to get those too. I think it's harder to collect for DVDs than VHS, honestly. It's harder to find some of them. At least I haven't had luck. I
feel like do you guys go to like Goodwill for your hunts or anything like that?
I do. I go everywhere. Yeah.
I never find tapes at Goodwill ever. And like, I don't know if it's just I'm in a dry area or like.
That's why you got to.
They're catching on. The staff is catching on.
Yeah.
It depends. Things are different by region. My thrift stores are really good. That's why you have to come visit me, Brandon.
Yeah,
bring the wife. I actually have. We have a cottage by a lake, and there's a thrift store there.
Nice.
10-cent tapes.
What?
10-cent tapes, and I found a lot of good stuff there.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's nothing like that out by me.
10. They actually had it 8 for 10, and then they said 10 for 10.
They're just trying.
I mean, eight for $1, and now it's 10 for $1. I mean, that's
okay. Wow. Follow-up question though. So like, it can't just be like the bare tape. It has to have the case, right? Like that's a deal breaker if it doesn't for y'all.
Depends.
Right?
Though it depends on the movie. Like if there's a rare movie and there's just the tape, you get it, and then hopefully you'll find the case later.
I do that all the time. With eBay. Is like if I get just the slip, or in some cases just the tape, you wait a little bit, and I've completed, like, brought the two back together plenty of times where like the ultimate cost that I ended up paying was a fraction of what that tape is worth. Actually, I just got really lucky with that. For the longest time, I had just the slip of Sleepaway Camp.
I heard that's really. I've never actually seen that movie, but that's a very thought.
Dude,
how much is that going for?
This is probably the most valuable tape in my collection. And there's way more pricier tapes out there for like.
What would you guess that's going for complete though?
200 at least.
Especially that first release. Was there any other releases, or just the first release?
Just the first one. But for the longest time I had just the box, which I had gotten on eBay like a year ago. Somebody threw it up without the tape, and I was like, I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna find the tape. And then I recently got just the tape for like $40 with a cut box, and now I've got this pretty much mint and
awesome.
Put back together. So a little bit of patience goes a long way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see that movie.
You have to. You like that. That's homework. You got to watch Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
You haven't had the ending spoiled for you?
Huh?
You haven't had the ending spoiled for you?
No.
Yes, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Yeah,
okay.
You got to watch it.
Okay. Give me homework already. Anything? I also like to ask. I want to see what you think about Hollywood right now, the movie industry, the theater industry. But I also was going to ask anything on your playlist, watch list, or game list. I know you're not doing too much gaming now. You said Indiana Jones, so that probably answers that part of the question. That's a game you want to play. Yeah. Any new music that you're like picking up right now that you're getting into? Anything that any new tracks or new albums you've been listening to, or maybe the last album you bought?
Yeah. So I'm like the new metal era of the 90s and early 2000s was definitely like a guilty pleasure. Like I got to see Limp Bizkit live last summer. Which
that's cool.
Was absolutely amazing. So I went through like craving that style of music again and trying to like find artists that are kind of bringing it back. And I found a really good one that they're called Tetrarch.
Cool.
Yeah. Right, and their second album is coming out, and they just dropped like their first like new single or second single. And their first album's really good. It sounds like it's straight out of like 1999 or like 2001.
Cool.
So yeah, Tetrarch is really cool. I'm always like willing to check out new stuff. Like I've got a pretty wide palette of like stuff I listen to, but mostly rock, like rock and metal. So yeah, like if you got any recommendations, send it my way. Like,
I'll show you my recent pickups with when Ray was just here. We were just hanging out last week. So I love Depeche Mode, but always like, but people are, like you two are Depeche Mode. Oh, their newer stuff isn't good. But I went back. We went to a used record store that has CD Warehouse. You remember CD Warehouse from back in the day? There's
Yeah.
only a few that exist left. There's one that I could take you to when you visit me.
That's sick.
And I got Depeche Mode, Playing the Angel. The last Depeche Mode album I bought was Exciter, and I didn't like Exciter. This is one of my favorite Depeche Mode albums.
I haven't. I love early Depeche Mode, but I haven't checked out.
No, this one whole album is amazing. And then this is Rhea Matt recommended. She found this to me at CD Warehouse minus the bear. It's indie rock.
Cool. Nice. Heard of them, yeah.
Not a Surf Lucky, which I might see Not a Surf. They're actually gonna tour in my area. So I might go to the concert.
That's cool.
And then this one is amazing. Scanners.
Oh, damn. That's an awesome cover too.
Yeah, it is a really good record. Really good record.
Okay.
So that's awesome. That's what I've been listening to.
I gotta take a look at those. I've been checking out this band that I want to go see. They're coming to Chicago area soon. Castle Rat. They're like fantasy, like doom kind of like metal. They sound straight out of like the 70s, like early Black Sabbath. And they're freaking awesome. Female lead singer, and they just have a really cool vibe to them. Yeah,
I'll definitely be checking out a few of those for sure. Cool. I don't know if Ray, if you wanted to share any of those or anything you're listening to lately, or also what's on your playlist, like movies you want to see, current movies, current streaming, anything that your or watch list, I mean, that you want to watch soon that you haven't got to yet.
Let me see. So I think, well, Max, you know that like I haven't seen the original Jaws, so that is definitely on my list. I know, right? Like, why am I even here?
We were supposed to. No. We were supposed to do that. We were supposed to watch it when she was here. I might just do a watch party for that. I might do a watch party for Jaws.
You have to. It's amazing.
So that's like a priority for sure. And yeah, what about you, Max?
I'm trying to. Well, Sleepaway Camp. I keep hearing. There's a lot of people. Now that's on my watch list. I've never in Ray. I have no excuse because you bought me the 4K of The Thing. I do want to watch The Thing. I've never seen it. John Carpenter's The Thing.
That'd be a treat for you.
There's probably some other horror movies on there that I want to see. I want to see Companions. We didn't get to see that while she was out.
The one from this year, Companion. It's awesome. It's really good. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Ooh, Hard Eyes on VHS. That would be a good one.
That would be good. I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Oh
no. I'm just kidding. Fortunately because I saw it with Rhea and my wife.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spoil it. But
it's fun.
It was until is there ever a movie that like a certain scene just ruins it for you? Yeah. So I'm not going to say what scene it is, but it was really fun. I like the couple. The actors, the couple were they had chemistry. They were fun. I was along for the ride. Hard Eyes, the actual killer, I wasn't like completely sold on. There's a few scenes that really worked for me.
Okay.
But then there's a scene towards the last part of the movie. You're just like, oh no, you're gonna do this, and it went from a 7 out of 10 from me, fun 7 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10.
Oh,
and I don't want to see it again. I don't care about the sequel. I don't care.
That's a big drop. I'm curious.
Yeah. So you should see it. It's fun. But I was like, this is not the good kind of cheesy or whatever. I'm just like, oh god, I really don't like Heart Eyes the Killer now.
I think all these like character-based slashers deserve a VHS release because it just gives like, you know, like that's a genre that screams VHS in my opinion.
I completely agree. Slasher and VHS. Well, it's, you know, it's that thing, right? That it's like VHS is going to be inherently a lower resolution, and slashers a lot of times rely on like the stalking scenes or the kill where they're using practical effects. Or in the 80s, it was very like low budget. So the thing about VHS and slashers, right, is it elevates them because you're not seeing every single detail. There's like mystery in the grain and the scan lines and what's in the shadows. So like that genre is just perfect for
There's
VHS.
also that, and another thing I want to get more into is like classic kung fu or gun fu, like genre. So I have Hard Boiled on VHS. I found another copy that was perfect, and I didn't get it because I was like, oh, I already have Hard Boiled, and I should have because it was a much better copy. But that movie, I don't want to see 4K because sometimes a lot of the like kung fu directors, slow motion back in the day before they did like Matrix.
Yeah.
They actually put it down to like 10 frames per second.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's gonna look horrible in
It
4K.
will. That's
So
so
I'm
true.
like,
That's
some
a
of these
perfect example.
some of these action sequences, or if
Yeah.
some of the techniques they did back in the day are gonna look horrible with a magnifying lens on it. So hard boiled is one that I'm like, no, I want the VH. I have the PS3 that plays Blu-ray. It's the PS3 game.
Oh, cool.
Sequel to it. They include the movie, but I would prefer to watch it on that's one I prefer to watch on VHS, because why do you want to see 4K 10 frames per second?
Yeah, that's not going to play well at all. I love that you said though, like kung fu and like that genre. Like the question you asked earlier about like what would I want to watch more of. I was either going to say westerns or kung fu movies. Like I got to do a deeper dive into those.
I'd love to get some anime on VHS too, but that's like Akira and stuff like that's expensive.
That's pricey. That's huge. I've never seen Akira. I've heard it's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely it. Are you curious about anime? Have you ever been to anime or?
I've never really explored it.
To
be honest, yeah, it's definitely an untapped realm. I've seen a couple newer things that have been like on Netflix. Like I don't know if you guys have seen Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix.
I've heard it's really good. My wife and I think Bruce told me it was really good too.
It's unbelievably good. It's very there's definitely a sense of it being like inspired by Kill Bill. And I love like the anime sequence in Kill Bill. But I haven't really had a chance to do like a deep dive into anime. I wouldn't mind it. Like my exposure to anime is like really that. I loved the like Animatrix spinoff that they did of the Matrix back in the day. And I also love the Chronicles of Riddick franchise. And they did a Riddick anime like movie called Chronicles of Riddick Dark Fury. And like that's awesome. So I definitely like have very minor dabbles, but I've never done like a deep dive into like the hardcore anime stuff.
I think if I were to like find Aeon Flux, the complete animated series on a VHS collection, I would definitely pick that up. Like it's kind of like that gray area because like Peter Chung like has that anime influence obviously, but it was on MTV, so folks who are in the know like know that would be like a kick-ass like addition to
anime had some really cool colored tapes too, like white and like Sailor Moon had some. I know Ray was looking at Sailor. There were some really interesting anime releases because they were expensive even back then. Like the anime was it's more popular than ever now, I think, manga and anime. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was still pretty niche. So the releases were expensive and they did some cool stuff on those tapes. What's your thoughts on the movie industry right now? Like, what's your thoughts on current stuff? Like, do you like superhero stuff, DC, Marvel, Star Wars?
I do. Yeah, I like all that stuff. I will say my interest in it has unfortunately like waned over the last couple of years.
That's what a lot of people
like I was huge. Like I used to day one or like midnight release of every single Marvel movie. And now there's a handful I like wait for them to be on streaming. I'm not necessarily there.
You're not alone. That's
in theaters. Yeah. So I think I've kind of hit like a little bit of burnout in terms of just the story arcs are all very similar. And there's going to be explosions and the special effects all look the same. Right now I'm in this phase where I'm enjoying going back and watching 70s and 80s movies more than I'll watch like a big budget special effects movie. But I still love that stuff. Like I try not to miss the big blockbusters. Like eventually I'll get caught up on like Marvel stuff that I've missed. Like I still never saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like I'm behind.
Oh, it's really good. That one I would recommend.
I've heard it's really good. I've heard that one's awesome. So that's one I missed. I haven't seen the new Captain America yet.
I wouldn't say do not go back for that. Go wait for a really good. No, not that I'm saying don't watch it, but if you're taking a break from Marvel films already, don't go see that as your first one back.
Yeah.
Wait for it. It was fun. Me and Ray saw that too. It was fun, but we see most Marvel movies though. Okay. What was the last one you remember seeing in the theater or be excited about? Is there anything that do you pay attention to the news, like the entertainment news, like upcoming projects, like upcoming Marvels? Anything is like maybe I want to see that one.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I keep up with the Marvel stuff for the most part. I think I've just gotten behind on the last like certain ones in the last couple of years. I think the Marvels was the last one I saw in theaters, I want to say. And that one was okay. I mean, this isn't now Marvel, like, but the last Venom movie I actually thought was pretty fun. But that was still
Oh
Sony.
God.
Yeah, I know.
You too, Brandon. I can't stand the Venom movies.
They're really like hated by a lot of people. Yeah, I have fun with them. Like like I hate most of the Sony stuff. Like Morbius,
Yeah.
terrible.
I actually like Morbius better than Venom.
Oh really? Okay, no. See, I couldn't even like hardly get through Morbius. But yeah, I think Marvel's was the last like Marvel Studios one I saw in theaters, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh,
But I'm stoked for the build up to the new Avengers, right? Like I want to see what they're doing with Downey as Doom. Very curious like where that all goes.
okay. So Rhea might have to. She has a prior commitment, so she might have to dip out if we want to keep going for just a little bit longer,
Yeah.
or we could start to wrap it up. It's up to you.
I can go for a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Rhea, I'm sure we'll collaborate again. I'm not going to let Brandon go now that I got my hooks on him. Yeah, thank you, Rhea, for hosting this, and then we'll do like a few more minutes just to talk about some current topics.
No, it was great meeting you, Brandon.
Yeah, you too.
And In a Violent Nature would be another one. That would be good on VHS. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I did see that. I think there's a couple like artists that have done VHS versions of it, but I agree that would translate so well to tape.
Totally. But yeah, thank you everyone in the chat. Max, you could keep dual streaming on Twitter too. You're getting a lot of you're getting a lot of viewers on Twitter, by the way, and I shared your Instagram and your YouTube on there as well. So yeah, awesome. Thanks y'all, and I'll keep the stream going.
Don't hit end stream when you leave. Some people make that mistake.
Oh no, I won't. Okay, all right, y'all have fun. Have a good Saturday.
Yeah,
all right, thanks, Rhea.
Take it easy.
All right. So we'll just talk about some current topics then. What about DC? I love the Snyderverse, but I'm open to James Gunn. Were you watching any of the DC projects?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really loved. I like the direction they went. I mean, like to me, Nolan, like what Nolan did with the Batman movies is like I miss that level of like earnest quality like DC filmmaking. But the Snyder stuff.
What about the Batman then? You like Matt Reeves?
I loved the Pattinson one.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Batman. Like it was dark, it was gritty, it was to me it really nailed like the dark detective side of Batman really well. I thought Pattinson did amazing, and the action scenes in that are phenomenal. So I loved the Batman. Yeah, like Affleck as Batman. Like I didn't hate him, but like he's definitely lower on the totem as far as like actors who have played Batman. So
he's my favorite.
Is he? I'm sorry, I'm breaking.
No. Listen. I have thick skin. Most of my viewers hate my opinion.
Yeah.
On my live streams.
Can I ask what it is you like what draws you to Batfleck? I'm just curious.
Some of the scenes were. I think he did a really good Bruce.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think his Bruce was great.
And him, I think he was one of the best, both Bruce and Batman together.
Okay.
Whereas Bale, I think, was a better Bruce than a Batman. Although I really like Batman Begins, but after that, I feel like, and I love Christian Bale. I've been a fan of him since Newsies, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like he phoned it in after a while, and the strength of the rest of the trilogy was Heath Ledger, the best villain, you know. The Dark Knight, the reason that's so great is Heath Ledger, not Christian Bale.
No, absolutely.
If you ask like what my favorite movie in the trilogy is, it's The Dark Knight. But what my favorite Batman movie is in the trilogy, it's The Batman Begins. I think he did the best of that one.
That was the most Batman focused.
And then the third one, Rises. I hate that movie.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
I can't get through it. I bought it. There's very few times the voice. It sounds.
This gives you power.
The decision for the audio was horrible. Like I remember being in the theater, being so psyched to see it, and they actually filmed in Pittsburgh. Like when I was working, I saw them film one of the Batmobile sequences in it. I saw it outside my work window. But when they do the voice, I'm looking at Hardy and screen, and the audio, his Bane's
tough.
voice comes out in the back of like the back speaker. It did not seem right. The audio design was horrible for
It
Bane.
was. That's the worst thing about it.
And then the thing that breaks it for me is like for a good movie, especially a comic book movie, for a villain, you have to have like an end game of what they're planning to do.
Yeah.
So their plan was to destroy Gotham. They could have done that at any time, but they wait to enact the plan so Batman can recoup and come back. That is the dumbest thing. I can't get past it. There's dumb things in movies, but they're just sitting around for Batman. Like they have control of the city. The police, the government's not trying to take back Gotham. Everyone's just waiting for Batman to come to have this finale.
Yep. It's
just to teach Batman a lesson.
That third act is a mess. Like
I'm like,
even
what?
Yeah,
no, I can't get past it. It's so stupid to me.
I like Tom Hardy a lot, even though the audio is rough. I enjoy his Bane, so I still like that movie because I think the villain is like interesting, even though he's kind of sometimes hard to hear, and the audio is just weird. But the third act of that movie is a mess. Like just the fact of how destroyed he is. Like I know they pulled that from like the Nightfall comics, right? But like just the way it's portrayed in the movie, how destroyed he is, and like his back is literally shattered, and then for him to come back, it's a stretch. It's rough. Yeah.
Well, I'm having a blast. I would say probably the next 10 minutes we'll start wrapping it up though.
Sounds good.
And we'll revisit your socials. So the movie you're taking a break like a lot. My wife said she saw Deadpool Wolverine and she's like, this is where I'm ending.
Oh, that was the last one I saw. I forgot.
So she's like, this was fun. It was nostalgic.
Loved it.
All these other superhero movies just feel samey. I'm out. I'm not seeing anymore. But the one that got my family talking is Superman, the new Superman trailer with Crypto.
I'm curious. I think the dogs.
Is that going to get you back into the theater? Day one, Superman.
Absolutely. I'm not going to miss that. And I mean, it's Gunn, right? Gunn doing it. Yeah. So yeah, him doing it, like, it's going to be a fun script. Like, that's what I love about him being behind a superhero like franchise is like he brings the fun out of like superheroes and comics really well. But seeing that trailer, like Crypto, I'm excited for. I mean, I had 3 of my own dogs.
I know you love movies, but is your love there? Do you prefer being at home watching movies in your environment, or how often do you go to the theater? Even
all the time. I prefer to see a new movie in the theater any day.
Okay.
I'm actually really lucky where I live. I'm right by, I don't know if you've heard of the Imagine chain of theaters.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So where I live, I'm right by a theater called Imagine that just went through a huge renovation, like state of the art. Like they redid it about 1.5 years ago. And it's a freaking amazing theater. It's actually got one of their screens is the biggest screen in Illinois. So it's a phenomenal place to see a movie at. So if I could, I'd go to the movies every week. And I was almost doing that last year. I've kind of like the start of this year has been just a little bit busy with other stuff going on. So it's been a little bit harder to get there. But yeah, like I try not to miss any of the main horror releases in the theater when like summer blockbuster season rolls around. Like I'm usually at almost everything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What about what do you feel about the industry currently? Do you think the theaters are going to get back to where they were? What do you think about all the decisions with streaming? What about like all the what's your thoughts on streaming content too? I know you love movies. Do you watch a lot of series?
I'm not a big series guy, and I have so many friends that are like, "Have you watched this series? Have you watched that series?" And it takes a lot for me to get drawn into a series. I really what I like about movies is the clear like beginning, middle, end story.
Okay, I can respect
whereas a franchise, it's like it's all that they're trying to kind of do is like keep you going into the next episode. Like I think I was listening to this interview with Quentin Tarantino talking about movies and talking about series, and he was saying how like series now look really good. Like they have the aesthetic. He says they have the patina of movies, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to string you along to get you to watch the next episode. Whereas a movie,
I get that.
A movie is very much like a self-contained piece of art that you can think about its beginning, middle, and end. Think about how it came together, and it's easier to remember like a 2.5 hour movie and what moments might have meant from an artistic standpoint than it is to try and stitch together 10 episodes of a season and like really think about it from like a symbolic standpoint and a consistent like aesthetic. So I'm not a big like series guy recently. I'd rather sit down and watch a movie. I'm nervous about the film industry just in terms of like movie theaters, because I think I'm the exception to most people in terms of like wanting to see movies in the theater. And crowd etiquette has gotten so bad. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so fed up with how people behave in theaters. It's unbelievable. And that rightfully shoos a lot of people away.
Well, I've had a debate with some of my friends. My friend Joe loves to go to the theater. I respect it a lot. I'm like, I keep comparing it to the record industry or video game industry.
Yeah.
Like, it's changed. Yeah, there's still the Taylor Swifts, the Beyoncés
Yeah.
that sell records on the big bands, but it's not like late 90s, early 2000s where there was a bunch of artists selling like consistent. So I feel like the movie industry, not a lot of movies are going to make it. Not a lot of movies are going to. So there's always movies are not going to go away altogether. I just feel like, and you have it's we've had so many years of movies that when you do an action or sci-fi or horror, you're competing with your back catalog of movie. You probably have a better movie on your shelf.
Exactly.
It's got to feel fresh. It's just good is not good enough. Just average or above, just slightly above average movies are not going to do well. It has to like I compared to Elaine, like it's a weird comparison to like sponge worthy, theater worthy. For a lot of people are like, is this theater worthy for me to take the time, because everyone's lives are so busy right now. Take the time, go to the theater. I know if I wasn't doing movie talk, I'd see less movies in the theater. I'd wait for home video or VOD. But that's I don't think it's going to go away. I just think it really has to be something fresh to get people in there.
It's tough. Yeah. Well, the problem too is I think a lot of theaters are just decaying and are like in need of a huge fix up. And people have better setups in their homes than a lot of theaters across the country.
The last draw that really gets people, besides the quality, like being if it's a great movie, there still are great movies that people don't see in theaters. But if it's a really good movie, people are gonna, if you build it, they will come. People will come.
Right.
But the other thing that helps is IMAX.
Oh yeah.
I love
Special
movies
event.
that are mostly filmed in IMAX. And popcorn buckets. People like to buy those popcorn buckets.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those.
I only have one. I only have the Batman one that that has a bat symbol. But
so I go after the horror ones. So like I've got a Pennywise bucket. I've got a Jigsaw from Saw. I've got the Beetlejuice Shrunken Head, and then I've got Terrifier and Scream. So like I kind of bite the bullet on the horror ones sometimes. So popcorn buckets are fun like that. Who would have thought like that would be such a huge like in-person industry, and that's blown up. But yeah, I think like for me, the movie theater experience, I think I'm kind of spoiled because the theater's really good. I get it though. Like I get it takes a really special movie for most people to get out. I just wish when they actually do get out, like people would not have their cell phones out. Like if it's costing you $15-20 to go to the movie, like why are you texting? Like that can wait. Like, why are you so noisy?
Well,
like,
it's not just. Now. I mean, it's not just movie. I feel bad for younger generation. I loved. I'm not so retro that I won't embrace current technology, but I feel really bad. First of all, the economy and everything like that for younger generations starting out now. But phones, you don't have to wait for anything anymore.
Yeah,
like the internet, we had to when we were growing up. We had to wait a little bit for some entertainment, so it was more special to us. So, you're always. It's not just that they're in the movie theater. People are addicted. I have to literally when I go to bed, I'm like, put my phone. It's still a struggle, and
same.
Put it away so I don't look at it, so I can get some sleep. And
I know
these are so addicting.
They are. It's bad. It's bad, and it's a love-hate relationship for sure.
Well, I mean, in your household, you should be fine because he's so retro. I forgot to mention this. We couldn't even. He's so retro. His internet didn't even work. What do you have? Dial up over there? Or something?
It felt like it. I don't know what was going on. My laptop was not agreeing, so the iPad ended up working.
Well, we'll start wrapping it up here. I would want to ask one final question. What's your current, like, since you're so retro, what's your current favorite movies, like the last few years, or movies you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
Your current favorites that you really like. Wow, this is great.
Yeah, I think last year was one of my favorite like new movie years in a long time. And I thought the prior year was good, but I think last year topped it. I loved The Substance. I mean, the Oscars are tomorrow, and
I still didn't see that one yet.
the fact that The Substance is nominated for so many things, and like Denver's got a real shot to win Best Actress for a really like gruesome, crazy practical effects movie is freaking awesome. I love Longlegs, and I need to go see The Monkey because
yeah, I've heard that's a lot of fun.
yeah, Osgood Perkins with Longlegs was awesome. I just saw in January, I saw this twice actually, The Brutalist, the A24 movie with Adrian Brody. And that's not horror, like that's not going to be for everybody. It's almost a 4-hour movie. It's got an intermission in the middle. But for someone who, you know, like was just talking about Citizen Kane, The Brutalist is like, it's a movie trying to do so much. And I really like the film lover in me just got consumed by that movie that I had to go see it a second time. So like those are a couple like big ones that I've watched recently. I haven't watched a lot of like small scale stuff or like indie stuff this year. But yeah, I'm just trying to work through like my backlog of stuff that I've picked up on either tape or 4K that I haven't seen yet. And there's a lot of it. So, but that's the stuff that I've seen in theaters that I really like. And I'm hoping Demi take the Oscar for Best Actress.
Sure. I love Dune 2. And then Maxine was cool because that was one of my first horror movies in the theater. I usually prefer to watch horror at home.
Okay. Yeah.
But that was one of my first in the theater with Rhea. We saw that together with her and my wife. But we are going to wrap up here. Go subscribe to Film Archaeology. I'll keep tabs with Brandon. Follow him on Instagram. His Instagram page is fire.
Thanks, man.
And thanks for having me. We could talk like a minute or two after the live stream, but we really appreciate having you. We'll reach out to you again. Companion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he said he'd mentioned he did watch Companion. I want to see
really
that.
Like Companion. Companion was awesome. I was like pleasantly surprised how much fun I had with it. Yeah.
Perp is going to stalk you now.
Hey.
To talk about horror.
Talk movies anytime, any day.
So thanks to my guest, Brandon, Film Archaeology, and have a good one. Have a nice day, everyone. We'll be talking soon. All right. Thanks.